Alright, hello. Just want to go ahead and say, based on the last video, while I was proud of it, it wasn't very good. I don't know the best way to edit an Elden Ring video. Because they're very long, and there's a lot of more boring stuff in between. So I'm going to try doing something a little different. I will probably go over mainly bosses, and not go over show items or pathings or anything like that, unless I feel like they're important. Um, I will also say that I'm currently burnt out of Elden Ring because I played 60 hours over the course of 3 weeks, which is unfortunate because I got right into the end game. That's how far in the future I am. Um, I am I am in the end game right now. I think I haven't looked up anything for the most part. I've looked up a few things, but I mean, it's like, well, I mean, it's and most of the time it's just like little somethings, like figuring out like the names of monsters or whether or not like at the beginning when I kill that NPC in front of the tree sentinel, whether or not that would be a problem later on, stuff like that. So I'll probably just go over any notable things and skip quite a lot. What I'll probably do is I will probably upload the raw footage as an unlisted video and then have a link to the unlisted video in the description. So if you want that, go down below. I don't talk a lot into it. I do not talk a lot in them. For the most part, it's just me playing the game. Um, Once I'm caught up, and then once I'm out of this, rut of being burnt out, I'll probably finish beating the game, and then either start a new save file or a new game plus, and or work on the same file and try to get all the items and make that into a video, which will be a horribly large video, but there will be that. But that probably won't be for a while. One note that I just want to go ahead and say is I'm so backed up on footage that it's about 1.1 terabytes of footage that I have. There's a lot. So I'm going to go through it and then, well, I guess we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. Huh. Probably won't be great because I do not know how to edit an Elden Ring video. It's not like, oh, funny moments. It's Elden Ring. There's not a lot of funny moments. It's a very polished game, so you're not going to encounter a lot of glitches, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, I don't know what to do. But yeah, we'll see. I'll stop yapping for the most part unless something comes to my mind. So yeah, let's get started. So I encounter these guys a fair bit. I'll be completely honest. I feel like half the time they're spouting nonsense. I get the feeling that they're supposed to tell me where to go and what not to do and what to do, but at the same time, they're not very helpful a lot of times. I also feel like there may be supposed to be like lore stuff, but I think I'll play like the audio stuff for them when we come across them because I feel like they might be important to people, and so they'll be there. I probably won't comment on them because they're just kind of fluff, I guess. Not really fluff, but you, I think you understand. I think you understand. So we have this Evergale. I think it's how you're supposed to call it. That has this boss called Adon, Thief of Fire. This is the next boss that I beat, and actually, he's pretty easy. I feel like a lot of the Evergales from now on are going to be pretty easy. This is mainly because his attacks are fairly easy to dodge, and he does take like hit stun. When you hit him, he falters, and his attacks get interrupted. He does still do a very large amount of damage. He also has a variety of fire attacks, as well as a flail, I think, that he swings around and that kind of stuff. It's not a very hard battle. At this point in your playthrough, you should be able to beat him after a few tries. One thing I will say is, as I'm watching myself fight him right now, man, my stats look so weird, and seeing the weapons I'm using and everything, it feels just so weird to see it all be low and see like the stuff from like way back when, quote unquote, because it's been so long. Like the small amount of damage I do, and like the small amount of runes, and just all that kind of stuff. It feels so weird to see. Other than that, he's not hard, and he gives you like a fireball spell that Well, I mean, come on. I think you get it. It's not too difficult, and it's not too overly interesting. But yeah, we'll probably encounter more of these kind of guys where they're kind of like player characters later on, and I have comments about that when we get to them, but that'll come when we get there. So just really quickly, I ended up finding a portal that takes me to the entrance of the academy, which allowed me to ignore a lot of the enemies, although I do end up going back to defeat them just to say that I did. However, obviously, if you've played the game, you know you can't actually just go in. You need a key. And so that ends up being the next thing that I go about doing. Before this, I'm actually fairly confident we missed some stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if I do have footage missing. I'm actually pretty sure I do, because I think we missed a catacomb. I did do a catacomb, and it has like the weird cat statue thing. I don't remember what I got from it. It wasn't too difficult, but I just wanted to just include it because it's my first catacomb. If I do find the footage, I'll put it over this area right now after I talk about the key. And we will go get the key after this, I believe. And you can actually get the key without defeating the guy that's there. And I do end up grabbing the key. But I do defeat the guy that's there before I actually end up using the key, because I feel like it's just what you're supposed to do. But yeah. Actually, I just went across the footage, and I do actually have the catacomb footage, so it's going to be there. So this guy, and actually this is something interesting, because I believe all of this was done in the course of a day, like one single playthrough. I defeated about 3 or 4 bosses: the thief, the catacombs boss, and this guy, which is the Tibia Mariner. I don't actually remember the name, but it's this skeleton guy that reminds me a lot of the ferryman that would take you over into Hades. You know, the whole eye coin on the eye thing that it was your coin for your ferryman. It's that kind of stuff. And essentially he summons hordes enemies, and his main source of attack, other than the summoned enemies, is kind of a splash thing that he does on the boat. There's this one version of the attack where he gets like a glowed red for a little bit and starts rising up in the air. Just run away from this, and when it comes down, he actually attacks his own skeletons. So a lot of the skeletons that are around you will just die. And for information, the best way to kill him, or rather fight him, is to just go after him. Ignore the guys and just mainly target him and just whack him over and over and over and over until he dies. Alright, so I think the final thing we'll cover in this video is Glintstone Dragon Smaug? I think that's how you say his name. But yeah, really quickly, just to let you know ahead of time, and slight spoilers ahead, so beware. You're going to encounter a lot of dragons. A lot. Well, not like a ton, but they're going to be a recurring kind of boss. If I look back in my brain, I would say I've probably fought 4 or 5, probably. Perhaps even more than that. I don't actually know. But I did fight quite a lot. And as such, they have pretty much recurring moves. Sometimes they'll have unique versions of their moves where they're kind of similar, but also not. But this should be your first time actually encountering a dragon, so I will go over the moves for the most part. He's not a super hard opponent once you know how he works, because it's basically stomps and fire breath. I don't even actually know if you can call it breath, but different types of like ranged fire breath related attacks. And do be aware,
These, at this point in time, should one-shot you. So don't get hit by them. Pretty much all of the fire-related ones should one-shot you when fighting Glintstone Smart. And there are a few versions of it. If you since you just came from fighting what's his face, Margit? No. Yes? No. No. Maybe? I don't actually remember. The guy in Stormville Castle, not at the beginning, but at the end. You should recognize some of the attacks that the dragons use from him, because he uses a dragon's head. You know, the one where it's more straightforward, dragon's breath, where it comes straight at you, and ones where it goes side to side, as well as one where it's more of a wide area. Most of the time, a good recommendation would be to just run away to it from it or run side to side. Not side to side, but to one side. So do that essentially. If it's coming straight at you, go to the side. If it's a wider area, run away. The only one that this doesn't really apply to is when he flies up in the air and uses the fire breath. When that happens, you want to run to the back left. And most of the time, this should get you to avoid it. If you're too close to him when he starts this, it will more than likely still hit you. So good luck. You can dodge through the fire, but it's a very, very tight dodge to be able to actually do it. There's also an attack where he will try to lash at you with his wings. And then obviously the stomp attacks that I was telling you about. If you get behind him, he will spin around and try to hit you with his tail when spinning, so be careful when doing that. I personally targeted his right, my left of his leg. That's the one where I personally target for all the dragons pretty much because it's just easier. He does take more damage if you hit his head, but that's hard to do. Another thing to note is I actually do believe he is blind. So if you're careful, I think it actually is possible to sneak around him very carefully, and he has a hard time locating you. Because sometimes he'll just attack where you used to be and not where you are. This does make sense because in his design, his eyes do seem to be covered with, I guess, glintstone. But yeah, this did take me a fair bit to do, just because it is very annoying that it one shots because there's pretty much just no room for error. But I do get it done eventually, and dragon fights do get easier as time goes on, and he gives you a dragon heart. You're not going to be able to use that for quite a while, and unless you're going for more magic related stuff, it's not going to be super useful either because you don't get stat boosts or anything like that. You will just get some stuff later on, which I'll cover when we actually get there to try and remain as spoiler free. Now, over where Smarg was laying down, that's where you get your key, as well as I think like a couple other items or something. But once you have your key, you can actually return over to Rhea Lucara. And I guess that's where we'll end the video for now. Um, I went through, I want to say like not 10 hours. That's too much. 5 hours, 8 hours of footage, somewhere around there, over this course of this like 15, maybe 20 minute video. And I still have a lot to cover. One thing I will note is I think I mentioned it at the beginning of this video. I went through pretty much the entire game without looking anything up. And I don't know the amount of bosses or anything like that, but I would say I did pretty dang good in terms of completing stuff and finding stuff. Obviously, the super hidden stuff I probably haven't found, but yeah. One more thing I will note. I wonder how many times I've said one more thing, but I am very excited to eventually get around to trying to 100% complete the game because this is something that I wish more games did. But I have the books of knowledge, which are essentially the encyclopedia of the game. It has all the enemies, all the bosses, guides to all the quests. I'm sure it has lore stuff in it too, all the items, all that kind of stuff. And that'll make it extremely fun to 100% complete because instead of using, a wiki or guide videos, I have a physical book that I'll be reading and using that to 100% complete the game. Like I mentioned earlier, I still haven't fully decided whether or not I want to make a new save entirely, do a new game plus, or just continue working on the same world that I'm in. Which I get it's not randomly generated like Minecraft. You can't same world doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I still will do it because it makes sense to me. It's my world. It's the one that I started in. It's the original one. So I don't know if I actually want to start again or not. One more thing that I didn't actually note on until just now because I kind of forgot about it. That stone mask that I'm wearing, I really do like it, and I wear it for quite a while. Let me think. What did I get? Oh man, it gets replaced much much later on. But yeah, this stone mask is so silly to me, and I quite love it. Um, but yeah, it gets replaced by a sillier one later on that I also really like. But yeah, it's the gargoyle mask from the catacomb. I got it from one of the dropped ones. It was a drop from one of the gargoyles. Anyways, that'll be it. Um, I don't know if this will fit more. I think it'll probably be a much better way of editing Elden Ring videos. It'll also allow me to get through them a lot quicker. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Um, I have a ton of old videos to go through. I have old um like horror Minecraft mods to go through as well as Peak videos, which man, Peak is such a fun. Anyways. I will see you guys next time. Um, uh, if the you know what? No, just do what you want. Bye.